Dr. Michelle Williams Show. You gotta stay woke.
Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. Good morning. Happy Saturday. You are now tuned into another wonderful episode of the Stay Woke Show. And I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Williams. And when I say this morning, we will be talking about the homeless crisis in America and what has been hitting our backyards and what has been plaguing us in the Tampa Bay area and throughout the great state of Florida. The call-in show for today's episode is area code 813-444-9588. Let me hear from you on regarding your rent crisis and what you are going through on today's market regarding housing. Right now, there is something that has been happening and that has happened with the Tampa Housing Authority. There was a situation where letters were being sent out terminating residents who were on Section 8. And doing this policy and this glitch in the system, the Tampa Housing Authority, I reached out to them. They immediately responded back to me because I said, you all, you know, I'm taking my activism in a different direction versus striking out all the time without having all the evidence in front of me. Reached out to Jerome Ryans, the CEO of the Tampa Housing Authority. He immediately responded back. Reached out to Mr. Leroy Moore, who was out of the country, but he immediately had his staff to call me back and get things right with me. And then reached out Miss Margaret Jones over at the Tampa Housing Authority. Margaret Jones called me and we had a great conversation. Margaret said, Michelle, please put my phone number and my extension on your social media website, and immediately residents started calling Margaret, and it was a actual honest glitch in the system that through termination of some employees that were over that department, they were sending out false letters terminating residents that were on Section 8. So Margaret Jones, her and her staff, they immediately jumped right on it. And I've been getting praise reports from the residents that they are now back reinstated with their Section 8 housing. So I'm so happy that portion worked out. But let's get into some other things that has been happening around the state of Florida. You all know that I have literally been talking about Governor Ron Can't Get Right DeSantis. Okay, so that's my nickname for him. Can't Get Right. So Can't Get Right now has signed into a new law in the state of Florida where the landlords who own their property can charge whatever they want for rent now. Landlords can now charge whatever they want for their rent. There is no more fair marketplace, rent. Like if a person owned a home and that home was worth $85,000, the law says that, it used to say that you should charge your rent anywhere from $850 to $1,000. Well, a lot of bad people have made it bad for a lot of good people who need housing right now in America. And there's nothing that we can do about this. But one thing that the city of Tampa has done, I received this report. The Greater Tampa Bay region is awarded millions by the HUD to address the homeless crisis. But who's going to get this money? Who are actually going to be the residents of being able to get these homes? So, guys, give me a second. Let me just pull out my focals real fast. I should have had them ready when I walked in the door. I normally do have them on. So we can get into it. We want to get right into this segment this morning regarding the homeless crisis that's happening over in America. Paycheck to paycheck. More and more people are finding themselves living paycheck to paycheck in the Greater Tampa Bay region. In some places, rent has doubled. The cost of everyday goods like gas and grocery keeps creeping up. All the while, wages lag behind and the affordable housing crisis looms. Amid cost of living increases, WUSF is focused on documenting how people are making ends meet. And USF is at the ram of this. And you all know that I participated in the documentation in the documentary with USF students and professors about the food desert. We have food deserts in the black neighborhoods where we're not awarded or afforded fresh fruits and vegetables like other places, like other white neighborhoods and suburban areas of town are. With the gentrification that is happening throughout the Tampa Bay area in the county of Hillsborough, people are now being pushed, black and brown people are being pushed into unincorporated parts of Hillsborough County, Waimama, Ruskin, Sun City, and there are food deserts out there. I'm hearing from bus drivers who drive for Heartline that it's harder and harder to get stops out there now. So people who work in the town, they can't even afford the $50 one-way trip for a Lyft. You spending $100 a day trying to get to work, and you barely making two pennies rub together to make, a whole dollar at the end of the month. So we have a huge crisis in America regarding the housing right now. And so the USF, this article, it's entitled, "The Greater Tampa Bay Region is awarded millions by HUD to address the homeless crisis." If you go, I'm going to post this on my social media so you guys can listen. There is a short video that's also in it. It says local agencies in the greater Tampa Bay region are set to receive more than $19 million in annual grant funding to address chronic homelessness in their communities. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, recently distributed $2.8 billion in grant funding to housing programs and homeless services across the country. The latest wave of annual funding is designed to help individuals and families facing chronic homelessness or those living with a disability and without shelter for more than a year. In the greater Tampa Bay region, local agencies are set to receive more than $19 million. That includes around $8 million awarded to the Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative, $5.5 million to agencies in Pinellas County, and $1.5 million to Sarasota and Manatee counties. Now, if Manatee County and Sarasota are receiving the less of these federal funds, we need to go to Sarasota and Manatee County and ask them how are they winning, because they're not the ones that's receiving any money. We need to go. I think I may need to visit the Sarasota and the Manatee Housing County authorities to ask them, what are you doing? What are you doing over here that we're not doing in the Tampa Bay area? So for the Tampa Bay Hillsborough County Homeless Initiative, CEO Antoinette Hayes Triplett said the grant money awarded isn't enough to offset the rising housing pressure in the Tampa Bay region. In the past, we normally get additional funding based on fair market rent, she said. Typically, she explained, the federal government will increase the amount of money awarded to local agencies in a community that has expressed steep increases in rent. In October, HUD estimated that the fair market rent would climb 23% more in 2023. And this year we did not get an increase, she said. Rents are not going down. They're not even stabilizing. So it's concerning that we do not get a bump in funding. The survey that I'll be providing for you on my social media, the data from the latest homelessness count in Hillsborough County is set to be released in May, which it already is released. It got released this May 2023. Ms. Hayes Triplett said that she is particularly concerned about the growing number of people who are living without housing over a long period of time. And the big concern I have when I talk to people in the community is that most people think they can get a job, they can pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But the ones we're looking at are never going to be able to do that without our assistance, she said. A typical person facing chronic homelessness in Hillsborough County is a single middle-aged man living in a mental or physical disability, Hayes said. She said there's also a gap in availability of assistance to men, like permanent supportive housing for the vulnerable group in the greater Tampa Bay region. With the current grant funding, including the $8 million recently provided by HUD, the Tampa Bay Hillsborough County Homelessness Initiative can only afford to sustain the agency's existing programs. Most of the permanent supportive housing that we have currently through the grant is working with landlords, she said. With current funding, approximately 3,000 residents are being assisted daily, according to Hayes Triplett. She said the next step is to generate the funds to roll out a new project, like building a lower barrier housing community to be managed by a local agency itself. The proposal, which is being called Beach Project, which will require an additional $5 million to bring online Hayes Triplet estimated. The funding that we get from the HUD generally does not allow us to create a new project of this size or magnitude without other funding resources, she said. The additional grant revenue and money raised in the community, Hayes Triplet is hopeful that the funding for the first beach project will be secured this year. The agency recently submitted applications to the Community Action Grant Administration by Home Depot and Wells Fargo. Ms. Hayes Triplet also added that the residents can also learn about ways to give to THHI by visiting their website. So again, this article will be provided to you all today on my social media website, because I want you all to go over, if you have a loved one or someone that you may know who is facing a homeless crisis or who has not been without stable housing or living conditions over the past year, please reach out, because we do have programs. And don't be afraid to put your information out there to be placed on the waiting list. The waiting list is most important, because you never know when the lottery system that they use where you're going to be next in line. So don't ever be afraid to use the lottery system that they have. The city of Tampa also has something, and I'm very concerned, and I started a draft last night to the mayor for the city of Tampa, because I just learned that the mayor of the city of Tampa, Jane Castor, has a program that I didn't even know about, and I'm the big mouth of the Hillsborough County, and I'm just like, how did I not know about this program? But then I thought about it as I meditated, with the higher power. It's not benefiting the people that look like us. It's not benefiting black people. It's not benefiting brown people. It's benefiting poor white people, because she's already housed over 6,000 white people with this program that she has. And the program that Mayor Jane Castor it's called the Hillsborough County Tampa City Council aims to address affordable housing crisis. So we're getting ready to get into this, and if I got to spank you, I'm spanking you with the truth, and let me know where I ever lied at. And none of y'all been able to confront me with where I lied at in my activism. Okay. Hillsborough County, Florida. The Tampa City Council aims to address the affordable housing crisis in Tampa. The housing and rental market in Tampa is red hot right now, but a downside of this is that there are few affordable housing options. On Thursday, City Council members will look at the option to address the affordable housing crisis. There's not housing. Salidas House Executive Director Adiza Antonio Thomas said, everybody has a waiting list, or if you call, nobody answers the phone. Many Tampa residents tell News Channel 8 on your side some more affordable housing is needed. The Tampa City Council concerns Rome Yard Affordable Housing Project, and that's what it's called. It's called the Rome Yard Affordable Housing Project with the city of Tampa. The red housing market is making it tougher for families to own a home. Plus, increases in rent have left many living from paycheck to paycheck. Mayor Jane Castor called the issue her top priority after she was reelected in March. But who is the priority of this Rome Yard project? Because obviously it's not people who look like me. It's not single mothers who are living paycheck to paycheck. It's not mothers who can't afford their rent and can't afford groceries and who can't afford toiletries for the home or hygiene products or to pay for school lunches for the children. It's not these mothers that are being part of this program. And we need to take a closer look inside this Rome Yard project that the mayor of the city of Tampa, Jane Castor, has for the community, because obviously it's not working, and it's not definitely working for people who look and walk and speak like me, aka black people, aka black families, aka black mothers. The call-in number for today's show is area code 813-444 9588. No matter where you are in the country, if you have a housing crisis, please call into the show and air your differences out, because you never know who is listening or paying attention to my radio program that can maybe reach out to you and be able to help you. The call-in number is 813-444-9588. And right now, we'll be right back after a brief commercial break, and then we're going to get more into this goal of 10,000 affordable homes that the mayor said that she wants to build in the city of Tampa. We'll be right back.
DR.Michelle,
Hey, this is Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for ya. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida. Grab a pen or sundown 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number 1, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number 1 is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
you gotta stay woke.
Tampa Bay. You're tuned into the second half of the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. And today we are speaking about the homelessness crisis that is happening not only in the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, but throughout the state of Florida and throughout the United States. The call-in number for today's show is area code 813-444-9588. Call in to tell me what your family is experiencing. But let's get back into it real fast as you guys get your cell phones out and you start watching me so you can call in and tell me, hey, beautiful one, this is what we got going on in our area and what's happening with you and your housing crisis and your homeless crisis that's happening in your city, your county, or your state. So the mayor for the city of Tampa, Jane Castor, says it comes down to the housing supply that we meet the demand. We have a goal of 10,000 affordable units by 2027. We're already over 6,000, Castor said. Now, I want to know where these 6,000 affordable homes are at. So this is why I've drafted a public information request for her to find out where these 6,000 homes are located at that she says that she's already got built. Now, if you're saying 2027, we're in 2023. That's 4 more years from now. So you're not going to be mayor again. You're not going to be reelected. So you're termed out. And so I want to know what plans do you have in place for your successor to come and continue to grab the bull by the reins and make sure that these homes are continue to be built. But you're alleging that you already have 6,000 homes in place. And through my public information request, I want to know where these homes are located at, who built these homes, how was the funding, how did the funding come in, how has this funding been allocated, who have been the contractors to go over and fix these homes, renovate these homes. I'm not going to leave one stone unturned. The Florida law requires that local governments prepare an inventory list of all city-owned properties that could be used as affordable housing. Back in March, Tampa City Council was giving a draft list of 32 properties. On Thursday, City Council will review the list, which was cut down to 27 properties after the Hillsborough County Property Appraiser's Office combined 2.5 lots on the draft list into one property. They also took 4 other properties off the list, saying due diligence is needed to the purpose of those properties as affordable housing due to the grant they used to get the land. This all comes after the city passed the 18-acre Rome Yard affordable housing proposal last month. It's expected to have 1,200 income-restricted apartment units and 40 townhomes that would sell at 10% below the market rate. Now, before I read this last paragraph of this article, it disturbs me deeply that affordable housing by the U.S. HUD Department is considered to be a whopping $255,000. No family that's working on a regular paycheck-to-paycheck scenario can even afford a $255,000. No longer even a 10% cut in that. So a 10% cut of $255,000, it's only going to take the home down $25,000. These persons, these families, they still will not be able to afford these homes. In the first 3 community outreach events, the overwhelming feedback we got was desire for affordable housing and affordable home ownership related to Urban Senior Development Manager Peter Van Warner said. We have a problem in America. We have a local problem here in the city of Tampa. So while I was out running errands day before yesterday, I seen brother Terry Muhammad right on the corner of Nebraska and Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, and I noticed that the headline of the final call was Minister Farrakhan. He's talking about hip hop being its 50th anniversary. But, Minister Farrakhan has never been afraid to call a spade a spade. He said, while you're celebrating hip hop, remember that it's been your lyrics that has been the epitome of the young black minds in our community. Remember that it has been your lyrics that has been tainting the minds of the young black queens in our community. Because see, hip hop from today's era is not the same hip hop as the minister is speaking about from 50 years ago. The hip hop that the minister is speaking about now is the ones where you have these rap artists telling you how you gonna snitch and be a dry snitch, how you gonna pop mollies, how you gonna set the next person up, how you gonna have more than one baby mama, how you gonna go out and how you gonna sell the drugs, how you gonna set up the trap houses, how you push this kilo, how you were racketeering, how you were trafficking this particular drug. This is the hip hop era that the minister is talking about today. So then he goes on further and when you playing spades and you got all the trump cards in your hand, you get a little bit anxious. So as I'm turning the pages, I'm just like, whoo, it's been a minute since I was able to read a final call, let alone get my hand on a final call. The minister says, boiling hatred, backlash, and why black people must separate. Integration has failed the black man and woman of America. Black people have tested out the integration experiment for decades. And then I stopped right there and I began to meditate on what the minister has been saying. Because in the end, the late and great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said in the end, as he sat with Malcolm X, I believe I just led my people into a burning hell. See, Martin Luther King seen in the end of his activism, in the end of the civil rights movement, that he was leading the black race into a burning hell. I go on further into the article. Let's get into this because it's good. The results are conclusive. It did not work. Integrating us did not work. Integrating us did not work. But since we are in a state in the state of Florida where the governor does not want Chinese people to own businesses or land in the state of Florida, the governor for the state of Florida has written into law effective July 1st, 2023, the permitless gun law. Not only has he just signed into another bill that landlords can now charge whatever they want to charge in their homes, in their apartment complexes. I want to say black people, brown people who look like me, walk like me, talk like me, and have the same mindset as me. Stay woke. This has been my radio broadcast program since 2008. Stay woke. I've been on the air with the same message. I will not deviate from the truth. Now, if the truth hurts you, that's your business. But let me tell you all about something that my grandfather taught me as a child. My grandfather said, if you throw a ball at me and I catch it, and I throw the ball back at you and you get messed up, it makes me a better pitcher. But remember, it was first your ball that you threw. Now, the governor, Ron can't get right, DeSantis of the state of Florida, he keeps throwing balls. He keeps throwing new laws at the citizens, at the constituents, at the Americans, at the Floridians in the state of Florida. He keeps throwing all of these balls at us. So now the Floridians, we're starting to catch these balls. And so now this presidential candidate hopeful is thinking that he's going to run and be the next great thing that America can't afford right now as a rhino, a Republican in name only president. We can't afford to have him become president of the United States. Ron DeSantis has stirred up more fever of hatred and racism in the last 6 months than Trump did in the 4 years that he was in office. He has stirred up so much chaos in the state of Florida with the teachers, with the business owners, with the NRA, with the owners who own guns. If you all don't see what is happening here, this article, Under the White Man's Mask, Boiling Hatred Backlash, and Why Black People Must Separate, is by the final call under the leadership of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Now, if you think it's a joke, when Minister Farrakhan was in Tampa several years ago, myself, along with other activists, were personally invited by the minister to sit on the stage with him and his family and his personal staff. See, when you're doing the work of the people and you're doing it right, and when you're doing the work of the people and you're speaking the right things, and you're grassroots and you're doing what God needs you to do, that stand in the gap, we are the gap fillers. But I want to remind black and brown people on this day how beneficial that your $4 trillion that you spend into this economy is. Now, the president, Yvette Lewis of the NAACP, put out a national call that people not come visit the state of Florida or move to the state of Florida. And then I said, oh my goodness, whew, Lord, I pray for the sister, because she going to start something. And then I seen white Republican senator, U.S. Senator Rick Scott, say the same thing. Don't come to the state of Florida. So I said, wait a minute. She was on to something. Now he's on to something. So you imagine, since Ron DeSantis is beating the drum the way he's beating, what if we just go ahead and pull back some of our money? Because, see, one thing I know, the $4 trillion that black people are spending into this economy, we're not making black millionaires from this $4 trillion. But we're making sure that a whole lot of Tiffany's and Susans and Jimmy's and John's, that they're being put through college. We're making sure that a whole lot of white men are becoming millionaires. We're making sure that a whole lot of white businesses and corporations and establishments, we're making sure that they eat. Why can't we take our $4 trillion and spend our money with our people and make some millionaires? Why can't we make millionaires in our own race? Why can't we support Miss Lily Mays over in the local gas station? Why can't we line up outside that gas station and support Miss Lily Mae today? Why can't we support her food? Because the collard greens and the macaroni and cheese is off the chain. Why can't we support, you know what I'm saying? Why can't we support the local tire shop over off 22nd and Martin Luther King in Hillsborough? Why can't we support Mr. Roger, who got the car wash over there, and line our cars up and say we'll be back in a couple of hours? Why can't we support our local entrepreneurs and businesses to ensure that we make millionaires in our race? Because guess what? One thing for certain and two for sure, we damn sure know how to make everybody else millionaires. We definitely know how to make everybody else millionaires except our own, because we still are living in this crab-like mentality. I'm going to get you before you get me. And I'm not going to let your crab leg come out the bucket because I'm too afraid that you're going to get ahead of me. When I had my booths inside the Riverview Flea Market, while I was selling my candles and my holistic teas, there was a sign that I had outside my door. And this is my quote. Everybody is entitled to the same 24 hours in a day. What you do with your 24 hours is your business. And what I do with my 24 hours is my business. But what you not going to do is watch me with my 24 hours. We're getting ready to take another brief commercial break, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned to the last segment part of the Stay Woke Show. We'll be right back after these brief commercial breaks.
Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. Gotta stay woke, stay woke, stay woke.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam All-White Party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
You gotta stay woke.
Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. We're in the home stretch of the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. What we're talking about today's segment, we're speaking on the issues of the homelessness crisis throughout the United States and also in my backyard here in Tampa, Florida, in the county of Hillsborough. But before we get into the last segment of the show, I just want to remind you all that Father's Day is June the 18th. Don't forget Juneteenth. Don't forget Juneteenth. And let me tell you, now that social media has made Juneteenth popular, I'm hoping that we can have some very, very nice celebratory events throughout the Tampa Bay area. That we can have so many powerful events celebrating our ancestors, celebrating the victories that have been accomplished by our inventors, by our elders, and by our children and by yourselves. This is what Juneteenth is all about, and I want you all to remember. Spread it on your social media platforms. Text your family and friends and loved ones about Juneteenth. Father's Day, June 18th, okay? June 18th. Treat your daddies right. Treat your daddies right. And that's gonna be a whole nother segment. And y'all, 'cause I think y'all kind of know how I feel about some things on how these baby mamas been treating these daddies. But we just gonna step that aside. But what we getting ready to do? We gonna get back into this article about the integration of the black race with the So goes on to say, we believe that the offer of integration is hypocritical and is made by those who are trying to deceive the black peoples in believing that their 400-year-old open enemies of freedom, justice, and equality are all of a sudden their friends. Now that hit home when I read that right there, because we don't have any friends as a black race. All I know is that we've had the injustices of black men, women, and children who are been unarmed being killed throughout America by police officers. Every 28 hours, a cop is shooting and murdering an unarmed black alleged suspect in America. Now we have a gun-ho happy, racist, agenda-filled governor who now has amped up this permitless law that will be taken into effect on July 1st, 2023, where we are going to see a surge of more blacks being harmed at the hands of white gun owners. All because he thinks, I'm unsure why Republicans think that they have to stir up a fever of racism and hatred in order to win a race. We know as blacks, we know as browns, we know as those who are woke, we know that racism has never died, and we know that it has never went away. Only thing that it has been is been tolerable. I'm tired of tolerating it. No one is addressing the issues. The violent attacks on blacks. In April, Andrew Lester White shot 16-year-old Ralph Yarl in the head after the black teenager mistakenly rang the wrong doorbell in Kansas City, Missouri. While Ralph has been at home recovering, Mr. Lester, who has been out on bond, appeared in court June 1st, where a judge set preliminary hearing dates for August 31st and September the 1st. He pleaded not guilty to 2 of the felony charges against him: first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Ralph's shooting sparked demonstrations and protests in the city and across America. Are we back in the 1950s with the Jim Crow laws? Are we moving backwards with that? Because here we are with a young man being shot in the head just from ringing a doorbell. He didn't even touch the door, just for ringing the doorbell. And so we have a huge fight on our hands. Khadijah Hardaway, vice president and a lead organizer of Justice for Wyandotte, said to the Final Call, "Fear and hatred are the fabric of this country." And there we have it. Because look what just happened in Florida. A black mother of 4 was shot and killed through her front door by a white woman because the landlord told the mother that she has his permission, because he owned the small apartment complex that they lived in, that her children can play in the field, so they didn't have to play in front of the home where the road met the front of the property. This white woman told the mother, keep your children out of my field. Now, if something mentally was wrong with the lady, I'm wondering where her family was. And I'm wondering where the community was. Because obviously, not only did this white woman fail this black mother who has now left her 4 children on this planet to reside without her, but where did the community fail this white woman with mental health? If I'm going to be a conscious-minded spiritual leader and advocate and civil rights leader, I have to think across the board. Because guess what? The community failed the black woman, but the community also failed the white woman who probably knew that the lady was crazy. Because according to the public information request that I pulled, the police had been called on the white lady dozens of times. So not only did the police department fail the black mother who was shot, I'm hoping that there is a black lawyer who can shoulder up the cross of this case and hold the police department accountable also for them turning an eye of justice into handle. Because if had the lady been given a restraining order, had the lady been taken to court, had the mother been awarded and afforded the opportunity to receive a pamphlet from the police department, well, ma'am, you have the right to go down and file an injunction against her to stop her from harassing your kids. The little boy dropped, the children were so scared when she came over there and told them to get out the field, the little boy dropped his tablet. The lady went over there and kept the tablet, didn't knock on the door, didn't ring the doorbell and say, your child dropped this tablet. She kept it. Anything that the children left on that property, which didn't belong to her, she went over there and kept it. It's as if she was a white stalker who was collecting a trophy. You know how serial killers will kill somebody and they'll keep a trophy of their victim? But this is the mindset that America has displayed when it came to the hanging and the lynching of black people and the murders of our people. They always took a trophy, even if it meant taking a picture. Smiling, all the smiling faces in the pictures of the lynching. I forget who sang that song, Smiling Faces. That song called Smiling Faces. Look at the smiling faces in the pictures of the lynchings. Children were afforded to be able to skip school that day to go and watch a black be hung. It's no different right now in America. It's no different. They just smiling in a different direction. They smiling with the injustices that the public defender's office don't want to defend the client's right. They smiling in the faces from the state attorney's office who are handing down injustices on innocent people. They smiling in the federal government with the housing crisis. They smiling in the boardrooms and the courtrooms when it comes to the education of the miseducation of the black man, woman, or child through the school board. They smiling in the courthouse as they clothe themselves with the black robes as they hit the gavel and say you have life in prison. They smiling in our faces. The backstabbers are smiling in our faces. But all the while, you see white women across America trying to emulate the black woman. Oh, I want her beauty. I want her hips. I want her breasts. I want her ass. I want her lips. Black women, we are trendsetters in this country. Black men, take your rightful positions back in the communities. Black mothers, stop participating in programs that hurt and harm the black man, and then you want to step on the gas pedal along with the Department of Revenue, aka the Child Support Office. Get your foot off the gas pedal, black woman, so this black man can have a job. Get your foot off the gas pedal, black woman, so this man's driver's license won't be suspended. Get your foot off the gas pedal, black woman, so he won't be labeled as a habitual driver while his license are suspended. Get your foot off the gas pedal, black woman, so now that he done became a habitual, now he getting his felonies in place. Get your foot off the gas pedal, black woman, because now that he got these felonies on him, he can't even go get a decent job. And all the while you did this because he chose not to lay in between your honey pot no more. Get your foot off the gas pedal, black woman. Let me know where I've told a lie at. Let me know. Stay Woke is about a radio program of truth. I don't care what you don't like, but the truth, just like rain, it don't care who it fall on. So if the truth is falling on you today and you feeling some type of way about anything that I've said on this radio program, call me up. Reach out to me on social media. And go back to the video that's being recorded live right now, or visit us on youtube.com and In Touch News and pull up the live video feeds and go back to that second of that minute and that marker and tell me where I have lied at. Tell me where I have lied at. Because, see, that's one thing that I will not do. I will not pacify my people with halves truths. I will not pacify you to make you feel good. I'm going to tell you the truth, because at some point you got to wake up. And when you wake up, I'm going to need for you to stay woke. And while you staying woke, I'm going to need for you to go ahead and reach one and teach one and let another sister or brother or a child know that the gang banging, we got an issue right now of sex trafficking hitting our teenage crowd in our community so hard right now. Children don't want to be in the homes with the parents because they think the parents are being too hard on them. So they turn it to the streets. And the first thing that look good and smell good and promise them a new set of nails or a new dress or a new outfit or a new hairdo or a new pair of Snickers, they done turned to this person, and now all of a sudden your child is being sex trafficked. Your child living at one of these rundown hotels and motels in the city limits of the city of Tampa. The Tampa Police Department know what's going on. The feds know what's going on. And, you know, as much as I'm on his behind and as much as I stay on him, I got to give credit where credit is due. Because the only person that seems like they doing anything about it is Chad Chronister, the sheriff for Hillsborough County. He seemed like he the only person that really cares about what's happening to the black children in the in Hillsborough County, because he on top of that sex trafficking stuff. Now, I don't care if he making himself look good about it, but he on top of it. So kudos to Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister this morning, because he's making a difference when it comes to the sex offending trafficking ring that we have going on in Hillsborough County, Florida. We have some deep-rooted issues, but it all starts of what's going on in your heart, in your mind, and what's happening in your household. And it's time to clean it up. It's no, ain't no more talking at the table, oh, I didn't know. It's too much evidence, and it's too much available for us at our fingertips. It's too much available to us. Too much. I want you all to stay woke. Wake up. Don't go back to sleep. Kendrick Lamar got a song. It say they gonna catch us as long as we sleeping. And that's why we keep getting caught. We're headed into the fourth quarter of the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the law office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
The Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity is hosting 3 fantastic parties in Tampa, Florida, and you can be a part of all the fun with their package ticket options. The package includes access to the Crimson Takeover Party at Armature Works, the Cream Jam all-white party at the Aquarium, and the Culmination Ball at the JW Marriott. Limited tickets are available for purchase online at KappaConclave2023.com. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to experience all 3 events.
Gotta stay woke.
Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. We are now in the fourth quarter of the Stay Woke Show with Dr. Michelle Williams. And I want to thank CEO DJ Mr. Dale Johnson and Miss Tampa Bay Tammy for hosting this segment and have been the pillars of the community here, providing us with our internet radio and reality program. And I'm just so thankful for them that Mr. Johnson, who I've known I used to know of him, but now I can honestly say I know him now. I call him my second pops. So every time I see him, I say, hey, pops, because he just has that. He's so humble. His spirit is humble. He has gratitude towards the community. He and Tampa Bay Tammy, his wife, his queen, they're always putting on something here at the THAP Center, centrally located in the heart of Tampa at 5508 North 50th Street, Tampa, Florida. If you ever just want to visit the campus and take a roam at what Black Unison looks like and what Black businesses and what Black business incubators look back, stop over to the office and ask for a tour of the campus over at the THAP Center. And we are so thankful that you all are listening to this show, supporting my activism, supporting the causes that are being spearheaded in this community. So I just want to say this before we get off the air. Fear and hatred are the fabric of this country. It is what makes its money. It makes its money off of it. The criminal justice system and the white supremacy have made billions of dollars off the fear coming from white people it's not Black people who is spreading this hatred. It's white people putting fear in other white people. And white people so scared. It's like, I'm starting to wonder, where they do that at? Like the streets say, where they do that at? Because how do you spread hatred to gain monetary money and monetary gains from it? We finna get into it. White fear. In April, the Leadership Conference Education Fund, a national civil rights group, released a report entitled Cause of Concern 2024, The State of Hate. The report warns that the increased hate, particularly from white supremacists, will continue into 2024 election, and that the hate crimes have nearly doubled since 2015. It also states that the anti-Black violence remains the standard and that Black Americans remain the most frequent victims of hate crimes. I don't see Black people just going out killing white people. I don't see Black people just randomly going to schools, shooting up schools. I don't see Black people just randomly going to supermarkets, shooting up supermarkets. These are the things that are evident. These are the things that there is evidence that Black people not doing it. We're just trying to receive our leaf to the tree of life. Because we're all promised. The leaves of the tree are good for the healing of the nation. But nobody wants to plant the tree by the river. Come on, God. Who, Holy Ghost? Nobody don't want to plant the trees by the river. Because, see, the trees that's planted by the river are the ones where the roots are going to grow down into it. I told my godson and my spiritual brother who was here at the conference, and I told him, I said, Brother David, if you look at the way a plant grows, a farmer wants the best soil, a soil that has not been tainted, a land that has not been tainted with chemicals. So when that farmer starts to plow the land and it starts to plant the seeds. Come on, God. When the farmer starts to plant the seeds, the only way that fruit of that vegetable, of that wheat, of that tree, of that plant, of that flower can grow is up. And that's what we need to start doing. We got to start soiling and plowing the land with good soil, with good education, with good knowledge. We need truth tellers. We don't need the tales of a tattlers. We don't need any more spooks at the door. We don't need anybody else to be gatekeepers. We need those who are not going to be afraid to be on the forefront for justice. We need those who are not going to be afraid of those who are not going to be afraid to get into, like our late brother and dear ancestor, John Conyers Jr. said, we need more people who are willing to get into some good trouble. Because Black people are the real victims of the hate crimes across America. And the Honorable Minister Farrakhan says, I think part of it is that we never actually reckon with what this country has done to the Black race. we have just kind of continued on with what has been happening. We'll pass little bills here and there, but they never received reparations. So we've never been made whole from the original crimes, from slavery to Jim Crow to segregation to redlining police to excessive force. It's ingrained in this country's DNA. But where do we go from here? When all we have is a whole bunch of people that's standing in the way of progress. Too many elders have laid down on us. Too many people have sat to the tables just to eat some crumbs. Not understanding that if we all unified and we all were moving in the same direction of freedom, that we all can eat the good of the land. But everybody just wants the scraps that continue to be thrown at us. Dear black people, we no longer have to eat plantation food anymore. Dear black people, it's time for us to wake up and stay woke. Along this journey, I found that I've got some great, some awesome, and some well-respected white allies. And it took me a long time to accept them into my civil rights leadership position. But I tell you one thing, I got some mighty fine white civil rights attorneys. I got some mighty fine Hispanic criminal defense attorneys that have been on the team of DR.Michelle Williams, who have helped me make sure that people who look like me can go into that courtroom and know what justice looks and feels like. I can call them one by one and name by name, but it's not necessary. You just know that we got some real fighters behind this leader that you're looking at right now today and that you listening to on these airways. It's a whole lot of good people that are willing to get into some good trouble in the name of justice. We know how to make sure that everything continues to go wrong, but it's now time for us to stay woke and know how to do things so we can continue to make things go right. I love each of you. We've had some phenomenal episodes on this at this very same round table since 2008. We've seen a lot. We've heard a lot. We've endured a lot. We participated in protests. We participated in so much. Let's participate in us gathering together in unity. Let's participate in us gathering together so that the civil liberties of the black and brown races, that we can unite. Keep in mind and keep in prayer all of the immigrants who have had to flee the state of Florida because of another reckless injustice immigration bill that the governor for the state of Florida has passed. Let's keep those children who have been left behind because their parents' paperwork hadn't quite been established yet. Let's keep in mind the families of the immigrants. Because, see, when people think of immigrants, they automatically just want to think of Mexicans and Hispanic people. But there are Africans and there are Jamaicans and Bahamians and Trinidadians and Haitian people that are here also who have had to flee this country, this state, and go into sanctuary states where they're going to be protected. So if you all have not paid attention to the numbers, the State of Florida Tourism Board gave a report that over 1 million people exited the state of Florida when Ron DeSantis signed that new immigration bill. Just here a few short weeks ago when I spoke about how the home builders here in the state of Florida, homes are not being built because who's laying the bricks? Who throwing them bricks? It definitely ain't El Chapo. It ain't him. We don't have anybody to build these homes now. So again, I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to say it again today. If your home was due for you to move in and for you to do your final walkthrough come July 1st and your home is nowhere near finished, file a lawsuit against the governor for the state of Florida It's the law. You can do that. But wake up. Stay woke. We got a long way to go, and we got a short time to get there. And what I don't want to do, I don't want to continue to have this conversation. I don't want my children, and I don't want my children's children to be able to have the same conversation. Because if 20 years from now, if my grandchildren are still having the same conversation, we fail somewhere. We fail somewhere. If 20 years from now, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are having this very same conversation about injustices and freedom and civil liberties, we failed. We failed. But I tell you where a disservice has been done to the entire black race is how we let Dr. King die and no one showed up the cross. When Dr. King died, the whole entire civil rights movement died right along with him. It died right along with him. And no one has been able to pick up that mantle and run this race. No one. I pray for us. I not only pray for us, I pray for this nation. And that is my plea before God every morning that I wake up, that he allows me to be awarded another beautiful trophy of life every day. I wake up and say, God, I pray for this nation. I pray for this nation because we are in trouble. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. But it's time for us to get into some good trouble. It's time that the lawsuits are filed in the federal court. It's time that the lawsuits are filed in the federal courts. It's time that we start filing federal lawsuits against these great injustices that have been happening to the black and to the brown race. This is the fourth quarter. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another great segment of the Stay Woke Show. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Williams. Stay tuned for next week. Next week, I got a very, very special guest that's going to be joining me in the studio. You know, we're headed for our 2024 elections. The presidential, public defender's office, state attorney's office, local reps. We need to make sure that you have all of the information about all the candidates who say that they want to come into our communities and represent us. I'm Dr. Michelle Williams. Thank you for supporting this show.